Hello, everyone. My name is Krista McGowan, and I am really proud of myself for making this video on today. So, before I get started, let me give you a fair warning. This could be very triggering. So, if you have triggers when it comes to domestic violence, I highly recommend that you stop watching this video because I will be sharing my personal story. All right, now that that's out of the way. Um, so I want to share my story. Number one, because we don't. We, as in Black women, more than one third of women experience physical abuse from an intimate partner. And Black women are most likely to experience this physical abuse. We are the most likely to experience it. However, we are the least likely to report it. And when we do report it, we often recant our stories. So today is me just taking my power back and speaking up and sharing my story. So I hope that this does not make you sad. I hope that it does not make you feel sorry for me. But more so, I hope that you feel proud. And I hope that this video is being viewed by the right person. And if my story convinces just one individual to leave her abusive situation, then it's all worth it. So let me give you all just a little bit of background. Um, 2016, I was moving from Phoenix, Arizona to California for a job. And I was so excited about this new career and really about living in a new environment because I had been in Phoenix. You know, I'm from the Bay, but I had never lived in Southern California. So this was something totally new for me. And I was excited. I was single and just ready to, experience something new. So I want to say, the first month, maybe even the first weekend, I went out and it was 4th of July weekend. I went out with one of my friends and ended up seeing some people that I went to school with, and which is not uncommon in LA. So, I'm reconnecting with them, and it turns out my ex actually was there supporting his birthday as well. So, in school, we knew each other, but like we didn't have that type of connection or anything. Like it was strictly on some student athlete, high and by type of vibes. But that particular weekend, he showed interest, and I was like, okay, doesn't hurt to try, right? So he was doing everything right. When I tell you the most chivalrous, kind, just very seemingly perfect, I'll say. Um, and he was very serious and intentional about dating. So for me, I was in my late 20s, and I'm like, okay, God, I'm like, is this like my time, that I'm finding my husband? Like, legit, that was where my head was at the time. Because I had been praying, I'd been single, and I'm like, God, all right, is it in the cards for me? So anyway, I had met this individual, reconnected with him rather, and it started off going really, really great. We were long distance in the beginning, which was tough, but he was literally in California like every other weekend coming to see me, just being very intentional. So I'm like, okay, this man is serious. But within that seriousness, there were some times of me seeing small instances of jealousy, and not in a healthy way. I don't know if there's a such thing as healthy jealousy, but it didn't raise a large enough of a red flag, I'll say. So I looked past it. I'm like, nope, he's got a great career. He's stable. He's ambitious, everything that I was looking for. So anyway, fast forward, we decide to celebrate our birthdays together one year. And it was the time basically for all of my friends to meet his close friends. And it was supposed to be this huge celebration. Well, that did not happen. Literally, so we had a full weekend of events planned, literally like Friday to Monday. And that Friday night, we decided to do a welcome barbecue. Oh, no, it was taco night. We did a welcome taco night at an Airbnb that I had rented out, that my friends were staying in. And I had noticed that he was kind of like being in the corner a little bit with his family because some of his family members had flew in to celebrate. But I didn't really like understand what was going on. I definitely noticed a different vibe though, and that's that women's intuition that we got to start listening to. It's the Holy Spirit literally telling us that something is wrong. So anyway, it's time now for us to leave because we had our own Airbnb. And so, all right, so we are driving downtown to our Airbnb. I finally got in the car. It was actually my sister's car because she had let us use her SUV for the weekend because we ended up driving down from Orange County. So, get in the car and we're now driving downtown and he is going off. Okay. When I tell you he is on 10, he is on 10, just going off on me. And I'm like, I'm not arguing back. I'm not trying to fight because number one, we're in my sister's car. Like, I don't want you to crash it because I can't pay for this. But also I just want to get in this Airbnb and go to sleep. It's late. We have a whole weekend planned. My friends are in town. Your family's in town. Like, let's just squash this and go to sleep. Like, that's the vibe I was on. Next thing I know, he stops the car. I think he stopped the car. And it happens. He punches me in my left eye. And I was low-key in shock because this was the first time he hit me. Now, granted, I've been pushed by him. I have been shoved. I've been thrown on a bed. But he would always tell me, I never hit you. I'll never hit you. And he didn't. And I will say, that's something that, when people say, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time, I feel like I was shown that several times, but I kept making excuses and I kept ignoring it until it was too late. So boom, he punches me the first time. Boom, he punches me the second time. The second time, I felt like I could feel my eye swelling. So my automatic reaction is to start apologizing. I'm just trying to get him to stop and to calm down because he was so angry. So I remember opening the door to the car and trying to jump out, but he grabbed me by my hair. And I remember there was a man right there and I'm literally screaming, help, help. Sir, I'm being abused and attacked. And I just remember Mari starting the car back up or putting it in drive and him closing the door shut. Then he proceeded to buckle my seatbelt and lock the doors. So now I'm like, okay, Krista, this is not about to be the end of your story. I'm like, I don't know where we're going now at this point. I mean, I've seen enough scary movies to where I could be like, this can't be, I'm not about to end up on one of these stories. That's all I was thinking was this cannot be the end. Literally, that's all I kept thinking, God, help me. This cannot be the end. So I just remember him pulling over again. And this time I'm like, okay, my seatbelt is buckled. The door is locked. How am I going to get out of this? And when I tell you, I don't know if both of my hands went at the same time, but I legit unbuckled my seatbelt, unlocked the door, and opened it and ran out. I don't even remember if I had anything in. Maybe I had my cell phone or my purse. I honestly don't even remember. But again, it was getting late, so things were starting to close. And I just remember running down the street as fast as, listen, when I tell you I was a track star that night, I was running as fast as I could, and I did not turn around to see if he was chasing me. So I ran, and I remember almost all the businesses were closed except this ice cream shop. And so I remember running into this ice cream shop and running straight to the bathroom and just locking the door. Because low key, I was still trying to wrap my mind around what had just happened. Like, we were in town celebrating our birthdays. How am I now locked in this bathroom with a black eye, a swollen black eye, and my boyfriend at the time is literally the one who did it? And I just remember there was a couple outside the bathroom. And I remember them knocking on the door, the woman, and saying, well, first I heard them tell him to leave because he had followed me into the ice cream shop. Now, he was also a track star in real life, so he definitely caught up to me and made it inside of the ice cream shop, followed me to the bathroom, but they were standing outside, my two angels, thank God for them, and was telling him, like, bruh, you need to leave. So once he left, they were like, they told me, they're like, he's gone. Can I please come in? That's what the woman was telling me. Whew. And I just remember her coming in and just telling me, like, well, first of all, she brought me a bag of ice, bless her heart. And she was just telling me, like, Chris, well, she didn't know my name, but she was just like, you know, you don't deserve this. That's all she kept telling me was, you don't deserve this. To take care of myself, and that I don't deserve that. So then I do the walk of shame. Like, this was probably the most embarrassing part of it all, because I had to walk in this ice cream shop. I as big as a basketball. The manager like, you want me to call the police? And what did I say? No. I said no. I said no. And so let me fast forward. So it is important for me to mention this. After all that happened that night, and I went on with my weekend. He ended up flying back to Atlanta to celebrate his birthday with his boys and acted like nothing happened. And I went on with my weekend. I wore my sunglasses the whole time and told my friends that we're just going to keep it moving. And that's what we did, which was extremely tough. But I was still in shock about what happened. I still didn't quite know. Like, it didn't hit me yet, if that makes sense. I mean, it hit me, but it didn't hit me. It's a horrible joke. But anyway, so let me fast forward because this video is getting extremely long. Fast forward, I actually ended up reaching out to him. I was so confused. I was so isolated. I felt isolated. I wasn't isolated, but I felt isolated. And I just wanted answers. I remember that was the first thing I said was, why? Why? Like, why? And it was like, I had so much emotional attachment that I could not fathom that this was who this individual was. Like, it had to be my fault. I had to have done something so horrible to make him act this way, to make him do it. It had to be me, right? Because so many people spoke extremely highly of him. Like, all his friends would speak so highly of him. His family just like, oh, you have a good one. This one is amazing. So I'm like, well, dang, what did I do to make you turn into this angry human being? But that's another thing. We have to stop blaming ourselves. We are not the reasons that this happens. And if someone is in an abusive relationship that's listening to this right now, let me be the first to tell you, you are not the reason. Stop blaming yourself. There is a lot of there is a lot of blame that happened, which was embarrassing. It caused shame and it made me isolate myself because I still had this very strong emotional connection to this individual. We were dating a year by the time this happened, a full year, like a consistent year. That's a lot of time invested in an individual, spending so much time on the phone, on FaceTime, like traveling together, and just it was it was just a long time. And it was a lot of emotional attachment and a huge soul tie. So I ended up going back because I blame myself. And I'm like, I'm going to do better. Like, I'll do a better job of making you feel secure or of making you know that I'm serious about this relationship, right? I was the one trying to make things better because I just felt like I was the one to blame. So the reason why I need to mention that I called him is because it literally takes an average of 7 times for a woman to leave an abusive relationship. And I say that because people don't understand the emotional connection most times. And I can only speak from my experience. But like for me, it was so many factors. It was the emotional connection. I had isolated myself, so I didn't really have the support system around me that I needed. Not that my friends weren't there, because they definitely were, but I didn't let them in enough to tell them how weak I was and how much I had lost myself and how much I was just distraught, depressed, sad, angry. I was not transparent enough with my friends because I was embarrassed. Like, how do you invite a whole group of people to meet your boyfriend and he ends up blacking your eye? Like, that's crazy. Just thinking about it. So we end up getting back together. And of course, I don't tell anybody because now this specific group of friends knew what happened, but like everybody else didn't know. So I would hang out with him with my other friends, or it would just be the two of us because I didn't want to hear the whole lectures. I didn't want to hear the Krista, you know better or you deserve better, because honestly, I didn't think that I did. I always heard people say, oh, relationships are hard and you have to work. And I just thought this was the work that I needed to do. I thought this was my forever and that this was it for me because I had invested what I thought was so much time. So it was a point in time where I realized I'm tired of crying. I'm tired of arguing. I'm tired of fighting. My neighbors are going to call the cops on me any day, and I'm not about to get evicted out of this apartment. And I'm just tired of being treated like this. Like, I was just tired of it. So I finally found a therapist. And it took me, this was actually the third therapist that I found because I had met with a few, but it just wasn't giving what it was supposed to give. So the third therapist, she gave me some exercises to do where I look in the mirror and I affirm myself. I'm telling myself, Krista, you are beautiful. Krista, you deserve safe love. Krista, you are healed. Krista, you are whole. And in the beginning, I didn't believe it. I felt silly. But after a while, they say, speak what you seek until you see what you say. Until you see what you've said. So I had to keep repeating it. Even when I didn't believe it, I had to keep repeating it. And when I would feel angry, I would keep repeating it. And so there's a few things I'll say that helped me on my journey. So number one was definitely therapy. Having a professional therapist that I could have an unfiltered conversation with about what was going on. I remember my first session, which ended up, I want to say going like 30 minutes over. I cried probably 90%. So I'm sure my therapist didn't even know like what my story was, but I just appreciate her so much because she just let me cry because I was so broken. I didn't recognize myself. I was not Krista McGowan. I don't know who I was. I don't know who that girl was. So anyway, number one was a therapist. Number two was educating myself. So I bought several books on like understanding narcissistic behavior, um, recovering from dating a psychopath. There was a book it was a Christian based book, The 5-Week Detox and How to Break a Soul Tie. I'm paraphrasing, but if you want these books, I can certainly send you links because it's all on Amazon. And then it was a T.D. Jakes devotional, Woman, Thou Art Whole, I want to say, or Thou Art Healed. But it was about like encouraging wholeness and being healed after trauma. And then I had my book of scriptures. And I remember reading out loud because for each topic, there was a bunch of scriptures that you could read. And so I remember reading like forgiveness, when you feel sad, when you feel lonely. There were like 5 topics that I would constantly just speak over myself, reading the word, and then of course, prayer. And I would be having some of the most realest conversations with God about like, God, please remove the desire to want to be in this relationship, remove the soul tie, break the soul tie, remove any feelings towards this man. Like, I want to be healed from this. I want to move on from this. Because sometimes we don't want to move on. And sometimes we want to stay in our mess. And that was me. I stayed in my mess for 3 years, literally. Until I realized that I deserved better and I could move on. So yeah, that's my story. That is my story. And again, this is July 1st is the 5-year anniversary of when this occurred. And I'm just proud of myself to be able to talk about it publicly. Again, my friends know, but this year, I don't know, 34 did something different to me. I'm just all about being transparent, about being a testimony, about being human and not trying to uphold this image of, being perfect. And so again, I just pray that this has touched someone. As a matter of fact, I just want to pray to close this out. So dear Lord, first, I just want to say thank you for giving me the strength to even do this, God. I thank you for speaking to my spirit and giving me the confirmation that this is the right path that I should take and this is what I should share. God, I just pray for any woman right now who may be in this situation or who may have been in this situation. God, I just pray for healing over her life. I pray for strength. I pray that you will build up her self-esteem and just give her the awareness of who she is in you. So God, I just thank you. I praise you that I am able to share my testimony. I thank you that I am here and that I have survived and that I have overcome this experience because I know that there are many that have not. So I am blessed. I don't take this for granted. And I just thank you so much, God, for bringing me as far as I've come. And I just look forward to what else you have in store for me. And just know that I am a vessel. And I thank you again just for everything that you have done. Continue to order my steps and let your will be done in my life. And it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. And thanks for coming to my TED Talk. That's it, guys. I hope you were blessed by it. I feel amazing. And I hope you have a blessed day.